hey, slow down there, lady.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting little dichotomy of like, hey, we can't trust her, and on the other hand, she's trying to give us everything she has. So right. So let's break this out then. For the rest of the episode, we'll have a couple little storylines to follow here. We have the Boyd Ava storyline and the Walker storyline. So let's play out the Boyd Ava storyline here first. So as we said, Ava's using her feminine wiles to try to distract Earl to get information out and then relay that information to Raylan. Boyd and the crew are digging into the ceiling of the mine when Boyd is there moving something at Zachariah's kind of request. He moves something and falls through some rotted floorboards and almost dies. I mean, he's balanced essentially on a shard of a board that happened to, get angled in just the right way to support his weight. And they managed to pull them out of there, pull him out of that hole. And Zachariah and the pig, which I think there's two things about that. I think first, it's Zachariah and the Pig's a cool band name, but I think it's actually a better album name than a band name. I don't know.
Zachariah and the Pig.
Zachariah and the Pig. Yeah.
The Zachariah and the Pig tour.
Yeah.
Summer 2025.
Yeah. December 2025. Yeah, exactly. I think it's the Zachariah and the Pig tour. That's pretty good. I like it. But Boyd, basically, he gets pulled out of that hole and he decides he's had enough mining for one day. Which,
what a way to go, too.
I know,
can you imagine? Oh, God.
At least you don't have to think about it very long.
I guess, but like Ava's dad,
Oh, yeah, that would be awful. Being trapped in the dark like that? No way, man. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Brutal.
And so Boyd leaves, goes back out. And Zachariah and the Pig are working when the Pig notices that the boards that gave away were actually cut. They weren't rotted. And Zachariah goes, "Oh, it's a shame you noticed that," and pushes him into the pit and kills him. So a rather unceremonious ending for the Pig. And Raylan calls it in as an accident. So we know Zachariah is treacherous and that he's trying to kill Boyd. Boyd does not know that at this point, though. So despite Ava's warnings to the contrary. And he returns home, finds Ava listening to Earl's music, and actually prefers that to finding her with Raylan, which I thought was pretty funny. But while he's there, right after he gets home and Ava's making dinner, he gets a call on his cell phone, and I have that call.
Now I imagine you recognize this voice, but unless you're alone, I'll advise you not to say my name.
Well, considering what happened last time I saw you, you really think you're in a position to ask me for a favor?
Oh, hell, I'm not asking anything. I'm offering.
Offering what?
Information.
Well, I guess that shouldn't come as a shock. How much you charging for it?
Not a thing. I'm just hoping you'll see it as the kind of a good faith gesture to mark a new beginning for our beautiful friendship.
Well, that's a pretty high bar. Can't think of anything I need to know bad enough to want to clear it.
Well, that could be on account of this here. It's what the man would call an unknown unknown. Something you don't even know you don't know.
In that case, I await my enlightenment.
They ever tell you anything about what she got up to yesterday?
I just love Limehouse so much. He's just the best. Mike Kelty Williamson is fantastic in that role. Just the best. I love every moment that Limehouse is on the screen. He's perfect in that role.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the phrasing of what the man would call an unknown unknown just tickles me just right too. I love that kind of writing. So Limehouse is going to tell Boyd about Ava's little adventure. attempting to get the hell out of town. In the hopes that that's going to make him a friend in Boyd, because he's betting on Boyd being the eventual winner here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. If we remember, the last time Boyd saw Limehouse was at the end of season 4, the Drew Thompson situation, when Boyd, I believe, or Ava was taken hostage by.
Oh, that's right.
By Limehouse, and Boyd had to pay $300,000 to get her back.
Deals change constantly.
That's right. Pray I do not change it again. Okay, so that's what happens with Boyd and Ava and the gang. Let's talk about Markham and Walker. So we talked about how Raylan kind of threw a grenade in the middle of the group and announced that Calhoun had been murdered and that Choo-Choo was sort of their prime suspect for it, with the intent of knowing that Markham and Walker are going to kind of take care of their Choo-Choo problem. And we see a little scene with Tim and Raylan where Raylan says, "Wonderful things can happen when you sow seeds of distrust in a garden of assholes." And Tim's like, "Hey, you're gonna need to say that slower so I can write it down." and he asks him if he just came up with that. And Raylan says, "I read that somewhere." And that is, of course, a direct quote from an Elmore Leonard novel. It's from the novel Glitz, which is an Elmore Leonard novel about Detective Vincent Mora in Miami. And it's a typical Elmore Leonard thing, right? There's a criminal, gets put away, and this one's a little bit graphic. He gets put away for raping a senior citizen, and he wants to get back at the quarterback. He wants to get back at the detective before he kills him, and so he kills his special friend, a hooker. And gets him to show up to investigate the death. And basically that's what the story is about, right? The various, that was also, again, just all of the weird little connections, also made into a film, in 1988. Like basically all of Elmore Leonard's books made into a movie. Vincent Mora was played by Jimmy Smits. And
LA Law Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, that's right. Well, wait until you hear the next one. And Linda Moon, who is his lounge singer girlfriend, who becomes his girlfriend during the story, is played by Marky Post.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, I had such a crush on her way back in the day.
Yeah, Christine Sullivan. Oh, man. Hot. Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little young to appreciate her at the time. I would have been 6 when Night Court started airing. But
oh, speaking of which, did you know that they rebooted that thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I knew that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did. It did not do well.
No, because it was the lady from maybe Big Bang Theory, I think. I forgot the one who plays the judge, like the son of Judge Harry. Yeah.
Well, and they remade Frasier. They rebooted Frasier. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah.
With his adult son, and he's living with him, sort of like his dad was living with him in Seattle, and yeah. So it's also not gotten great reviews. So.
Well, listen to earlier where you explained why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just people watch it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Glitz, Elmore Leonard novel. That's one that I have not read myself.
Does it take place in the same universe as?
Yes.
As Justified, like.
Yeah, I mean, loosely speaking, it does. It takes place in the same universe as all of Elmore Leonard's kind of books. They all take place in sort of the same universe. Some of them have overlapping characters. I don't recognize any of the characters here in this list as characters that recur in any of the other novels, but yeah, it's look and feel wise, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And Stephen King apparently loves the book. He compared it favorably in a review he wrote in the New York Times in 1985, he compared it favorably with works by Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett and John MacDonald. So, and that's about right? That's where I would put Elmore Leonard for sure in that list. So, so that's from that. So we heard that Walker is going to go out and track down Choo-Choo, and he shows up with the night shift. Because it's day, so they don't have to guard the vault. There's a scene at the beginning where they're like, who's guarding the vault? Well, it's night, so the night shift is guarding the vault. And this time he shows up with the night shift during the day to take care of the Choo-Choo problem, and tells Choo-Choo to kill the hooker, the prostitute, Caprice. Tells him to kill her like you were ordered to. And that's when Raylan and Tim step out of the shadows, having followed them from the portal, and say, that's something that could be taken out of context. and attempt to arrest. There are 4 of them and 2 of Raylan and Tim. Who knows why they didn't call backup, especially when he saw Walker leave the pizza portal with 2 other guys. They should have called for backup at that point, I would think. There's a shootout. Walker takes at least 1 bullet and drives away. Choo-Choo takes a couple of bullets, a few potentially even, and drives away. He also drives away. Again, the control of the scene not super great with Raylan and Tim here. But so Walker and Choo-Choo both drive away. I don't know what happened to the night shift. I never saw what happened to them, if they're dead or alive or not. But we then see that the Marshals are looking for Walker, Choo-Choo, and Seabass, because Seabass took off too when he heard what was going on. And Rachel has ordered 50 out-of-towner Marshals in for help from Cincinnati, which feels like a little bit of overkill.
Would you even think that there'd be 50 Marshals in Cincinnati?
No, that seems like a huge number for the Marshal Service, but I don't know how many people there are in the Marshal Service today. I wonder. I bet. How many would you say there are?
In Cincinnati, or how many Marshals in general?
How many Marshals in general would you say there are?
Oh, that's a good question. What, maybe 5,000?
4,000 actually. Yeah, it's 4,000 deputy U.S. Marshals and criminal investigators. So, and then there's one like chief deputy, chief marshal for each of the 94 judicial districts, of course. But they arrested. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that they always recruit the help. The feds always recruit the help of the locals. That's what they always do. So
they always
multiplies
do.
their
number. They just don't have the manpower. Or they send it's like it's like the infantry, right? You send the infantry and make sure that everybody's well disarmed, and then you come in and clean up.
That's right.
You don't want the federal agents taking bullets. Come on.
Yeah.
Send in the locals.
God, you always see, because I like kind of like goofing on the well, I should say I hate law enforcement, but I just like the way that they'll always swoop in. And have you ever seen that video?
I do.
Oh yeah,
I'm not afraid to say it.
Have you ever seen that video of the kid who was missing? Like, got lost in the woods or whatever, and then it wasn't the police who found him, but it was like the volunteers who found the kid. And then all of a sudden, let's bring you home. Like, it was the police.
And then the police are like, we've got it. Yeah,
we found him. Just like, come on, it's obvious.
Shocking. I'm surprised they didn't arrest him. Put him in cuffs, throw him in the back of the car,
and then shoot the dog.
Yeah, exactly. Was that the one where the dog protected her or him or whatever, and he slept on the dog and all that? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. See
and you can see like there's a body cam footage or whatever. Unless I'm getting mistaken, but who knows? But yeah, I always think that's kind of funny, and it makes sense, right? Because there's always the inter service or inter agency rivalries of people who get to like try to take credit for whatever win they get if they ever get a win. That's the way I see it, as far as like like all these these agencies are all competing for.
Oh yeah, because it determines your funding eventually too, right?
Yeah.
Right? Well, right. and if you're the marshals or local law enforcement, you're seizing assets on a regular basis too.